Republicans in the Wayne County Board of Canvassers in Michigan blocked the certification of the presidential results. Now, that was the big news yesterday, but luckily that county, which includes Detroit, did vote for Joe Biden, and now it turns out that shortly after blocking the certification, that board later unanimously voted in favor to certify the election results. So the Michigan Secretary of State, Jocelyn Benson, has more on this. Let's watch.
The Wayne County Board of Canvassers actually reversed their past decision and voted 4-0 to certify the full results, including the city of Detroit, for Wayne County.
Now, why would they do that?
Well, it appears that the truth won in this scenario. Basically, the evidence is clear. There were no irregularities. There was no evidence of widespread fraud. And in fact, there were simply minor clerical errors, as we were discussing, actually less clerical errors than in past election. And that really isn't a valid reason, in my view, and apparently, ultimately, the board to invalidate and silence the voices of voters in the state's largest county. So I think they did the right thing. They performed their duty, and they certified the election for the voters in Wayne County.
Now, I do think it's problematic that the two Republicans on that board refused to certify the election results initially, and they did so while repeating some of the lunacy coming from Trump's campaign. And there should be consequences for that, even though they reversed course later. And I do want to tell you why this was such a giant problem, because remember, Wayne County includes Detroit, which overwhelmingly voted for Joe Biden, and of course is a predominantly African American part of Michigan and a part of the county. And so the head of the NAACP in Detroit, Reverend Wendell Anthony, actually called the board out on their initial decision, and I think his words are powerful. So let's take a quick look at what he had to say.
You have extracted a black city out of a county and said the only one that are at fault and an issue is the city of Detroit, where 80% of the people who reside here are African Americans. Shame on you. Shame on you for leading to this level of corruption. You have disavowed your right to even sit in the seat that you occupy. You are a disgrace as relates to the ability to have a free and impartial election in this nation.
So if they had refused to certify the results in Wayne County, that would have impacted the state of Michigan in regard to the presidential election. So President-elect Joe Biden won Michigan by more than 148,000 votes, a victory made possible by a strong showing in Wayne County, where he netted more than 322,000 votes over President Donald Trump. The initial party line deadlock would have put Biden's Michigan victory in jeopardy, but projections indicate Biden will win 306 electoral votes, which means he'd still become the next president, even in the unlikely scenario that he doesn't get Michigan's 16 electoral votes. And so far, it appears that he will get those electoral votes. John.
Yeah, which means that they're willing to do this seemingly unprecedented, impossible thing where they just pick and choose which cities based on racial composition they want to count and which they don't, knowing that even if they do that, they have to also do it in other states. Like, it wouldn't be enough there. Trump would still lose, but they're willing to do it. Even though it's a long shot there and it's a long shot in other cases, they're willing to disenfranchise hundreds of thousands of people on the long shot chance that it works in some other area. And it is amazing that we're seeing this not only in Detroit, but also Atlanta. We're seeing much of the same thing in Georgia, that it's really sort of completing the full Republican approach to democracy going forward. We'd had 2/3 of the strategy up until this election, where before the vote, if you were black, you were gonna find God knows how many obstacles to registration and actually being able to vote and all of that. When you go to vote, you're gonna have to wait in long lines because they've selectively culled polling or ballot places to vote in areas where black voters are more common. And you're likely to get intimidated, and there will be Proud Boys and all of that. Now, even if you go through all the obstacles leading up to election day and you actually go and manage to vote, now they are becoming incredibly comfortable with just selectively trying to weed out your vote afterward. It's like the closing of the circle there. And it would be nice to think that this is just a Trump thing, that Trump's crazy and so he's got Rudy Giuliani going off there and that's why you're seeing this, but is it gonna be? Is Tom Cotton or Tucker Carlson in 4 years? If it's one, like imagine if it was just one state. This isn't enough. Like Detroit flipping wouldn't actually get Trump the presidency, but what if it was? What if in the next election it's just one state? Do you think that they're gonna be shy?
Like Florida.
Yeah, about Florida or God knows where. Maybe it's Arizona next time. Maybe it's Nevada. Maybe Las Vegas. Maybe their votes need to not count next time. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, and I love that you brought up all the various ways in which the Republican Party, under the leadership of Donald Trump, tried to intimidate voters or spread all sorts of disinformation regarding mail-in ballots. We also had Louis DeJoy, who's still currently the Postmaster General, dismantling the post office's ability to process an influx of mail-in ballots. I mean, to be quite honest with you guys, I did not think that based on all of the actions that were taken by Republicans prior to the election, that it was gonna be a free and fair election. I didn't think that Joe Biden had a chance because of all of these various disadvantages. But he managed to win 306 electoral votes, despite all of those challenges, despite the voter intimidation. And yeah, Republicans just pivoted on to a different talking point and a completely different narrative of how this entire election was rigged. The fact that you have Republican lawmakers right now who behind the scenes acknowledge that Joe Biden is the president-elect, but then publicly enable Donald Trump tells you everything you need to know about Republican lawmakers. They are out for themselves. They only care about their own political futures, their own careers. Doesn't matter if our democracy is completely destroyed in the process of their own self-serving actions. That's our government. And so I think I can understand why so many people are not so trusting toward our government, but we need to change that. We need to elect these types of people out. And the only way to do that, to be quite honest with you, is to actually listen to the American people and what they genuinely want in this country, what they need to live happy, prosperous lives. And right now, I'm not really seeing much attention to those issues by either party.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.